Walker's Way is pleased to announce that Paul Chatlin, founder of the nonprofit organization called Plant-Based Support Group, is here with us today to share his story of being diagnosed with coronary heart disease and faced with bypass surgery, but then opting to heal with a plant-based diet. He will also tell us a little bit about his organization that inspired his life-changing event and his experiences with doctors and medical experts in the field of plant-based nutrition. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Paul. There's nothing I love more than hearing stories like yours. They're such an inspiration for those looking to heal their own ailments or simply to prevent them. And what is even more important, I think it's important to share with parents who are looking to properly feed their children with the best fuel possible. And that's what Walker's Way is all about. So thank you. And I'm just going to get right to the questions.
Great.
Um, Mainly, I just want to hear about what you've learned over the past years, how you've changed, how your life used to be, and a little bit about plant-based support group that you started. So, can you just give us a brief summary of how you used to live, what caused the change?
Well, uh, I was an absolute foodie growing up. Uh, I still resent the person who came up with the olive oil or the oils with the spices because it was game on in my life before 55, meaning that there was no stop of anything I ate. There was no like, oh, it's too much. I would be a workoutaholic. I thought I could outwork every bad food I ever ate. I thought I was doing a good job. At 50 years old, I announced to my family I was giving up meat for fish, and I was giving up all the oils for olive oil, and I was taking whole milk to a whole new level, doing 1% milk. And I thought I was making some great strides, and really what I was doing was help encourage advancement of my heart disease. So, I've learned quite a bit in the last 4 years since I've made the change to become what I call plant perfect. But it's been interesting times along the way. As you asked, growing up, my parents didn't know. They just fed me. There was no you should have more vegetables or more fruits. It was, hey, I just clean my plate. I was that part of that generation, clean the plate club. So that's what I did. And I loved certain foods probably way more than I should have. Pizza being number one on my list. And it was that cheese that I just loved. I actually worked for Land O'Lakes Butter Company, and then got a job at Stouffer Food Company. So eating food was a big part of me, my family's life, and that all came to an immediate stop. About 4 years and 3 months ago, give or take a few months, when I started having severe coronary angina and heart disease pains, and I would wake up every morning and say, "Wow, this is really I'm just really an elephant on the chest," and it was painful every day, and I did not want to share that with anybody. I really thought I could fix anything. So I was trying to fix me doing it all the wrong ways. And finally, it got so bad where I literally just could not walk more than 10 steps without stopping. And I'm a pretty hyperactive person. So for me to just not be able to take many steps in a row without stopping, I finally had to go see a doctor. And that's what started it all. I mean, he heard a heart murmur they had not heard before. And from there, about 3 months later, here I am at the Cleveland Clinic being wheeled in for bypass surgery. So I don't want to take away any of your questions, but it's been an interesting life, an interesting journey. I can share with you that I'm a son of my dad, and he's unfortunately he and all his brothers passed away with heart disease many many years ago, and got to enjoy their life, but also see the slow death of them through heart disease. I've got three sons, and they're all in their early 30s, and they're going to have the same problems I have, and that's why I was that one individual in between my family who said, "Enough. We got to make some changes." I kind of bought into a person I never met before, called Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. He literally talked to him for the very first time on a gurney as I'm being wheeled in for what I thought was going to be bypass surgery, and made a change, and here we are today.
I've read his book. He actually was one of the first books I read and convinced me that a plant-based life is the optimal choice. I'm glad you mentioned Dr. Esselstyn. So, how did you actually choose the plant-based diet over continuing on that gurney for what most people think is the only solution to their heart disease or the need for surgery?
Well, you know what? I'm not a religious person, but I'm a pretty spiritual person, and I just received a bunch of miracles. And I'll share with you that literally I went to my doctor who heard the heart murmur, and then he put me into the local hospital's list of take this test, take that test, and with each test, we were hoping to find either either a blockage, so to explain why I was getting the angina, or what they started noticing was I had a hardening of my heart. So the cardiologist at the local hospital was saying I either needed bypass surgery or a possible heart replacement. My heart was enlarged. I had leaky valves. I had a left bundle block. I had a heart murmur. Um, I had a lot of bad things going on, and they couldn't figure out what it was. So they scheduled me at the local hospital for a heart catheter and a heart biopsy. That was the next step. In the meantime, it got so serious that I shared it with my wife, and after she kind of thunked me on the head for not telling her anything about this, I just didn't want to worry her. Silly male response probably, but I just didn't want to worry her. And then when I started getting worried, then I had to worry her. And she was so upset about not the fact that I didn't tell her, but more that I was hurting so bad that she shared it with some people at work. And it turns out that her boss knew somebody at the Cleveland Clinic, and that is the nation's heart hospital, the best place in the world if you have heart disease, I believe. And they were able to get me in within a few weeks, where it would usually take somebody a year. So that was kind of my first miracle, that my wife knew somebody who knew somebody at Cleveland Clinic and got me in. The second miracle was they may have a hundreds of cardiologists. They assigned me the one cardiologist whose mentor just happened to be Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Yeah.
So this is a chance to that. So here I am getting in before anybody should have ever gotten in. Then they assigned me to a guy who, once he started looking at the test results of the heart catheter, he noticed that there was a 100% block on my right artery, 2 at 65%. And, here I am just coming out of the heart catheter and the anesthesia. And he says, "Hey, I want you to talk to somebody." And here he was dialing up Caldwell Esselstyn. It was like 8 o'clock at night. And the first words I heard were, "Hey, Paul, this is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and I think I can help you. So if you want, just go on home and we'll talk in the morning. I'll call you at 8 o'clock." That was it. So I just took a leap of faith right then. I'm like, hey, I don't want bypass surgery. I remember what it was like when my dad had it. It was the only time I saw him cry. He cried for 3 days. And my two out of three of my uncles never made it off the operating table. So these are the memories I have as a young boy. And again, like I said, I've got 3 sons, so I definitely want that history to change. So I said, you know what, I'll try anything but surgery. So the next morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Esselstyn calls. We speak for a couple hours. And it was that day I took everything out of my house, gave it to charity, and started becoming whole food plant-based the next day. And I will share with you that at that point, I weighed 216 pounds, and I can show you a picture of what I look like. You can see I'm a little thinned out from 216 pounds. I've lost about 46 pounds and have kept it off. The energy is great. My cholesterol at that point was 347. Now it's down to 117.
Right.
And the most important thing is the angina went away after about a week and a half. And I've never felt better in my whole life, and I'm getting really close to 60. So this is the benefits of a whole food plant-based, and I was just a very lucky man.
Right. I mean, I love his book because he tells stories. Each chapter has a different person he's telling the story about, just like yours. This person had heart disease. They were going to go in for surgery. We changed their diet. It fixed the problem almost overnight, it seems. So I love hearing that story, and the fact that you worked with Dr. Esselstyn, just because I read his book and I loved all those stories that he shared. I also like that you talked about your family, because I have a metaphor for this sort of thing. Because I do believe in the genes. I believe that, well, my metaphor is you're born with a loaded gun, and it's your lifestyle that pulls the trigger. So we can help our genes a little bit with that lifestyle and plant-based diet. So how long till you noticed the change when you made the plant-based?
Well, from being a true meat eater, a dairy consumer, an oil lover, it was tough. The first few weeks, you're sitting there eating foods you've never had before. I've never tried it. But, they say the taste buds change after 2 weeks, and I believe they do, because all of a sudden I went from eating steak and having fish every day and gobs of oil and a lot of dairy and cheese to just having fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains.
Right.
And all of a sudden I started the weight was peeling away. The angina, like I said, went away, I think, in less than 2 weeks. And just that by itself was the big thing. I mean, just not to have that morning chest pain and that night chest pain. But I think the goal here, and certainly the goal for PBNSG, which is the organization I started, is to educate people much earlier, not do it under duress when they have no choice or are willing to do anything but surgery or do anything except for taking a shot every day or anything other than knee and hip replacement. That we kind of get to them a little bit earlier. Let's get them while they're healthier so they know about it. They can make small changes that can give them big results at the end. The goal is just keep educating every day.
Right, and it starts in our children. Um, Walker eats food that people kind of make faces at him like it's all he knows. He likes chlorella and super greens and kale and spinach. Um, and I've actually slowly, my whole family is now pretty much plant-based, and taste buds do change, as you said. So my dad, my mom, they all went from eating steak and cheese and butter, and now they all like these new foods better. So um, is that how you kind of support people in your group? Is just kind of guide them like, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel, even though you might miss the steak and the burger today. In 2 weeks, you might not.
Yeah, well, if we're going to talk, briefly about the organization, Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, which is PBNSG, and you could always see it at www.pbnsg.org. That's my one and only advertisement. The organization started really. It was I made what they call a gurney promise. You sit there and you say, God, if you get me out of this situation, I promise I'll do all these great things. Well, that's what I was praying when they had me on that gurney being wheeled in for bypass. I did not want to do bypass. I was hoping for a miracle, and then I got it. So initially, what I thought I would do is go after Blue Cross Blue Shield and get a pay code in their system, so people who want to transition to plant-based nutrition would learn how to do it by going to a cooking class, because you have to make a lot of changes when you're going plant-based or whole food plant-based from a normal standard American diet, and there's a lot of education along the way. So I thought that would be my what I'd go after. But after going to the highest level at Blue Cross Blue Shield to find out the only way they could make a change is through legislature, I thought, I'm just one person. It's way too big for me. Well, that is funny, because then I said, you know what? Maybe I'll do a transition class, because I did have a moment where I'm sitting there. I was on bed rest because, like I said, I had an enlarged heart, leaky bells, and the only way to shrink the heart is for a lot of bed rest. So I spent the first 3 months sleeping 16, 18-hour days with the pills that they put me on. It did work. It did allow me to reduce the size of the heart. It stopped the valves from leaking. So I thought, I can't be the only person on earth who is going through this. So I put a little ad in the paper and said, hey, if anybody's interested in learning about the benefits of whole food plant-based, I would like to show you how I transitioned. I put it in the paper for $20, and I got like 60 replies. And so I had 20 people over my house the following month, showed them everything I knew, which was limited because I was just learning at that time. But, I showed them how I redid all my kitchen and, the foods that I'm eating, the appliances I use. And all of a sudden, everyone was saying, God, it was so beneficial to them. I thought, okay, well, maybe what I need to do is just have a little meeting at the school or a hospital. So I started calling all the heads of cardiology at the three major hospitals around here. And they gave me, I said, I had one question for them. I said, do you know any doctor who understands the benefits of whole food plant-based, who's more holistic? And each one gave me three names. One name was common. It was Dr. Joel Kahn. So I met with Joel and I said, hey, would you like to be like a medical director of an organization I'd like to start? He was all for it. So we had our very first meeting, I think it was March of 3 years ago, March in 2014. And we had, instead of 40 or 50 people we thought would show up, we had 123. And the next month we had 144. And all of a sudden the hospital said, hey, you guys are getting way too big for us. Plus, they were standard American diet. We were whole food plant-based. So it was interesting how a couple of days before our third meeting, they said we can't have the meeting at the hospital. It turned out to be a great thing because we moved to the local school close by at the high school, which allowed us much bigger crowds, and we could say whatever we wanted to. And we started Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group. And here we are 3 years and 4 months later, and we're close to, probably this weekend we'll be at 4,000 members. Yeah, you heard it, 4,000 members.
Wow.
And it's been so. A long way of explaining your question or answering your question is, we do transition basic 101 transition classes. So if you're kind of plant curious, you come to a transition class and we'll teach you how to start. We have plant-based restaurants, over 28 of them in our community. We do advanced transition classes. This year coming up, we're going to do monthly learning education classes on specific diseases and issues, be it weight loss, stress management, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. We have 8 doctors that have volunteered to help us teach specific diseases and solutions to those diseases here in the community. We have monthly meetings, which we have some of the biggest speakers in the world attend. We've had the who's who of the organization of anybody come and speak to our organization. The only person who has yet to come is Dean Ornish. And Dean, if you're watching this, please give me a call. I would love to have you here. And then we offer community events. We do nutritional tours. We do lunch and learns at the schools. And this year we started doctors teaching doctors. We have 4 doctors who are going to be teaching other doctors about the benefits of whole food plant-based living. So we are a big organization that's doing a lot of great things, but it's really up to the individuals,
Right.
to come join us and learn.
Right. Well, the name of your organization's pretty on par. I mean, you do support quite well. Your story actually reminds me a lot of Walker's Way. I mean, I started Walker's Way because I've been raising Walker plant-based, and I went to his 1-year-old checkup, and the doctor, quote unquote, said his blood work's the best I've ever seen. His iron is amazing. And so I sent a message out to a Facebook group, said, hey, any moms want some help with this? I thought I'd get 2 or 3 messages, and I got like 65 within a couple hours. So I'm like, oh. So slowly, kind of like your story, Walker's Way's developed. And I'm all about supporting parents with nutrition tips and recipes and meal ideas, kind of like you, but obviously yours is much bigger. But um, we have the same goal in mind. So
Yeah,
that leads me to children. Do you guys support families with children in any kind of way? People get really nervous for some reason about their children needing different foods than themselves. Like, oh, I can go plant based, but I'm worried about it for my children. And I'm like, no, you want to go with plant based with your children. Start that nutrition off right. Teach them the right foods from the beginning. Um,
yeah,
do you have
we're big.
families?
We've got some families who bring their kids who are plant based, and in about 4 months or 5 months ago, we actually had a family came up on stage, and the kids kind of gave a presentation of what their life was like going whole food plant based. And I think their ages were like 4, 7, and 9, and it was a wonderful evening. And we are a big supporter of families, top to bottom, from the father on down to the youngest child, to start trying plant based. Let's face it, if I would have started making changes in my 20s and 30s, you think I would have had severe coronary heart disease in my 50s?
No.
No. So the goal here is to get kids, young kids, to start enjoying the wonderful meals that plant based can offer you. And they could do it as early as their parents fix their first meal.
Right.
You know, it's just one of those things you have to, we only have so many resources. Right now, we're working on those people who need us the most, which are people who are a little bit older, of health issues. But we spread our wings to every organization. We have a small group. We've got some 21 small groups around the state of Michigan. And that's where people can go at any time during the month to any one of the group meetings and be with like minded people. And one of them is a high school group at the local high school with all high school students. So we are trying to get more and more young people involved, uh, but it starts with a commitment from their moms and dads.
Right. Right. I don't know if you've seen the documentary What the Health. That seems to be spreading right now, and a lot of people are now jumping on the plant-based whole foods wagon. And by the way, I'm glad we were using that term because a lot of people use the word vegan, and I actually clarify a lot with the word vegan because, vegan can mean processed foods. Plant-based whole foods is no oils, no added sugars, real food, real simple ingredients. So, um, but back to what I was saying, I think a lot of people want to go plant-based whole foods, but it makes them nervous. They want to dine out at a restaurant and not have to worry about just ordering a boring side salad. In fact, What the Health has now changed my husband becoming plant-based whole foods. He fought it for a while, and he saw that documentary. He's like, okay, I have no choice. But he does still worry about the convenience factor. So how do you deal with that if you go to a restaurant and there's not many options?
Yeah, well, let me just make a comment, which is what I like so much is you gave all the information to your husband, and then he made what I call the educational decision, meaning he
Right.
got all the information and he said, you know what? As much as I may like steak or pizza or cereal or ice cream, it doesn't make sense to continue eating it when it's hurting me, so I'm done. And
Right.
I respect people like that because that's another group who I try to appeal to. As far as going out, you know what? When I first started, I didn't go out. I just did not go out because why would I want to go out just to have a salad, which I have every day?
Hmm.
So it was tough, and that's part of the reason why early on I started going to all the local restaurants and said, "Here, you've got all these ingredients in house. How about if you just make this?" And I would give them a couple recipe suggestions. And like I said, before you know it, there's some 24 or 5 restaurants now around our, three counties that support the majority of PBNSG that I could go to and have a wonderful plant-based meal. But when it comes to traveling and it comes to, being a little out of my comfort zone, there's a couple things I always do. First, I always call the restaurant way ahead of time when I have the time and talk to the chef, the head chef, or the owner and explain what I can have and what I can't have. And if I have a chance, I'll look at their menu because I don't want them to bring in special stuff for me. I want to look at what they have on their menu and try and create something just for my meal for that evening.
That's what I do
So,
actually.
yeah, so that's one option. The other option is, you know, the food that we eat carries beautifully. So if they're willing to plate it for me, I'll bring my own food in and they can plate it for me. Some restaurants say that's a health issue or they can't do that. I understand. I always bring with me, no matter what, my salad dressing. That's always in a little cooler in my car. So if worst comes to worst, I just have a salad. I always make sure though that they don't spray any oil on any broccoli or lettuces. I always ask that question. It's amazing. I used to have baked potatoes at all the restaurants until I found out that a lot of restaurants spray a little oil on the baked potato, so I stopped having that.
Right.
Um, I don't play games with oil, dairy, and meat. I don't eat them. I never will. They're bad for me. So I make sure that the restaurants don't poison me with that.
Right.
So I just, it's a planning thing. I call ahead, and guess what? At the end of the day, I just go a little hungry once in a while, and I get back home and I eat. I just have to learn that being healthy feels way better than feeling full.
Right. My husband laughs at me because I pretty much make up menu items. I just tell the waitress, I want this, this, and this, and if you can do this, and make sure you steam it. No, no chicken broth, and they always do it. It's really never a problem. Um,
Yeah, I just like to call ahead. And the other thing I do is, we have so many restaurant choices. What I do is if I go to a restaurant and they make me a meal. So there's like a restaurant, for example, I went to 2 days ago, and it's a Mediterranean restaurant. They make a no oil baked falafel. It tastes fantastic. And they have a no oil lentil soup. So when I eat that there, and then I say, can I have like 4 orders to go? And then since they freeze so beautifully, I come home.
right.
That's 4 meals. I don't have to worry about cooking.
Right.
I will use them in the next few months, and I love it. So it's getting easier and easier every day. But early on, you need to do a lot of planning.
Right. I'm glad you were talking about oils because a lot of people think olive oils and all these oils are good for you. You need to add oil. You need to cook with oil. And I keep telling you, no, it's a highly processed fat source that we don't need. We can get our fats from nuts and seeds and avocados. We don't need to add oil, and it's so easy to cook without oil. I'm going to wrap it up just because I know you're busy. You mentioned your energy. I can completely understand that. I think I have more energy than anyone I know, and I never get sick. Um, so you generally feel better on
Well,
plant-based. You told
yeah,
me you exercise every day, right?
yeah, well, I'll throw a few things on the oil thing. I always tell people it's 150 calories a tablespoon of pure fat. Like,
Right.
what good does it do you? Nothing. Okay. As far as my energy level, I don't mind sharing this with you. I'm the product of the 70s, where experimentation was a big part of my life early on. The plant-based diet is the best speed I've ever been on. I'm going every single day. I work out 6 days a week, like a soldier. Still, I put in an hour and a half of. Now my new thing is hot vinyasa yoga. I mean, I just sweat so well. It feels so good. And when they say down dog and up dog, I'm cranking out push-ups and sit-ups. I feel
Right.
good. So like I said, just the fact of working out, eating healthy, trying to get good quality sleep, and most importantly, trying to keep the stress down. I'm trying to do that every single day by staying in the moment and meeting people like you. So, I mean, it's been a good ride. It gets better every single day because I'm unlike a lot of people my age, which is I don't complain about, oh my, this is sore or that's sore. Nothing's sore.
Right,
I haven't been sick in 4 years. I feel great, and I feel great because it's perfectly.
right,
Okay, and who would have thought it was the food? It still blows me away because that it was the food that was hurting me. That was it. You
right.
know,
Plants are
so
medicine. I keep saying that. Plants are medicine and food is fuel. I can do 15 pull-ups. People don't believe it, and I can. And
hey,
I don't get tired.
how about this? The next time we Skype together, we'll put the cameras on the pull-up bars, okay?
I
And you
can
and
beat
I,
most people. I mean, I'm small and mighty.
yeah, we'll do a pull-up challenge, okay? Because what you'll like this at a couple of our meetings, we do like plank offs. So I will have as many people who wants to volunteer to get in a plank position, and we do it just for a little bit of fundraising, like $1 a minute or
Right,
something. Well, we've done that. We've done pull-ups and push-ups. So I like those little challenges. So
right,
next time we get together, we'll do a push-up or pull-up or sit-up. We'll do something because it's kind of fun to do it, and it's a goal that it's fun to go after stuff like that. But I am with you. This feels great on me.
right. And it breaks the stereotype. We can be strong. And all those there's NFL players that are going plant-based. There's tons of athletes that are going plant-based. Um, it's funny when people say, "Where do you get your protein?" I'm like, "Have you seen my biceps? I mean, I have pretty should flex, but
Hey,
you can't see."
can I can I see your bicep, please?
I have a pretty strong bicep. Pretty
Nice.
good, right?
No, that is that. Okay, now look at. I mean, I can't. I can't do what you do, but like not bad for almost 60. I'm there. That's a
Right.
very good bicep. But yeah, I'm with you, and I'm really, like I said, truly enjoying myself. And the only thing that challenges me truly is just big time international travel. I've got to kind of figure that one out a little bit because I just don't want to be in a situation where salad is my only option for a bunch of days.
Right.
And I also don't want to have it where half my days like where am I going to eat next? That
Right.
that is something that concerns me. But again, I'm going to keep emphasizing I feel great. I have not had to have bypass surgery. Now, one of my sons is now whole food plant based. This is picking up steam here,
Right.
and if we get more doctors on board, I guess I would share with you my one of the greatest accomplishments I've had in 4 years is I've been able to and been blessed and fortunate to talk to over 2,200 future medical doctors. We do a lot of discussions and lunch and learns at the four medical schools in Michigan. We counted 2,200 doctors we've spoken to, and if only 1% of them shares plant-based with their patients for the rest of their lives, will impact millions and millions of people.
Mhm.
And I wake up every day feeling like I'm playing with house money. So every day is a beautiful day.
Right. And that's how I feel with Walker's Way. If I help just one family, one mom, one toddler, it makes
Yeah,
it worth the time that I'm putting into this. So, thank you so much.
my pleasure.
It was
My pleasure.
such a honor that you took your time to interview with us.
Well,
And
listen,
I'm so happy for you and so happy for your health and your changes and the fact that you're helping so many people.
well, thank you. And my theme is, I've got a bunch of themes. One of is together as one. And what I mean by that is I can't do that without you. You're in California. I'm here in Michigan. How is this happening? Well, it's happening because we both see the benefits of making these choices and we just want to share it with people. So the challenge is us to just continue to link up, to unite, to work together. The more people we can get on board working with us, the better the voice will be, the more education we'll share. So anytime you need me for anything, especially that competition piece, I like that. It's fun. I'm in. I'm on. Let's
I
let's
still
get
have
up.
a competition. I'm supposed to race my husband. I can outrun him. He thinks I can't. I'm glad that you have your little philosophy out there. I was watching Wonder Woman last weekend, and they said something like, when there's a lot wrong in the world, you can either do nothing or you can do something. And I thought about that. I'm like, Walker's Way is my something. Your group is your something. We're doing what we can to help people. So
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you for all that you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And again, if there's anything you need on this end, just give me a shout back. It was great seeing you
Thank
and
you.
meet. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really
Have a
appreciate
wonderful
it.
day.
Okay.